Fortnite have accidentally put the tournaments for next season in the compete tab early, and they're giving us a glimpse into exactly what's going to happen next season for competitive. We now know what the game mode is going forward. We now have console tournaments, a lot more console tournaments. We have way more zero build tournaments, and we're also seeing the potential return of proper LTM cups, not just kind of goofy ones where you only get points for a win, like proper floor is lava LTM cups with prize pools. So what tournaments do we have next season? Let's kick off with the ones that we know. These have now gone into the compete tab, so you can check them out for yourself, but iFireMonkey tweeted them out and summed it up very, very well. So we have the zero build victory cash cup duos, and then we have regular victory cash cup solos, which is builds. That's what we currently already have. Now, this format is changing a little bit though. If you go to the compete tab and you check how many people qualify, it is a lot more than what we've seen previously. For EU now, it's going to be the top 11,500 players are going to go through the finals. For NA, it's going to be top 9,000. For Brazil, Asia, and Middle East, it's going to be top 1,250. And for OC, it's top 750. So instead of having the regular 7,000 people make it through on EU, for example, it's now 11,500. This means Fortnite is theoretically going to be giving away even more money for these, because in the finals, you have 3 games, 1 hour, and every single win is $100. If there's this many more people playing in the finals, that means there's more lobbies and therefore more money. But last time we saw this happen where they added more people into the finals, that's when they reduced the amount of games you can play from 7 in 3 hours down to only letting you play 3 in 1 hour. So potentially this could see a reduction again in how many games we can play, but we'll have to wait and see, and we'll see how that goes. Now, we also have Mix Up Monday duos and Mix Up Mondays zero build duos. Now, that doesn't sound too exciting. The Mix Up Mondays have been those tournaments where they just change a couple rules and nothing really happens, but leakers have found them adjusting and updating old LTMs, which could potentially become actual LTM tournaments. Mix Up Mondays for me have never really been a great idea. I don't really understand who they're for. They're not purely competitive because they always have some kind of goofy format where, you know, you only get points for eliminations gained with a certain weapon. Like, it's not really competitive, but I wouldn't really say that's like fun and casual either. Like, if a pro really tries to play a tournament with only the infantry rifle, because they're the only ones that gets points for kills, they're still gonna beat little Jimmy and Timmy, and they're probably not gonna have a lot of fun. I feel like either make it competitive like a regular cash cup, or make it fully goofy, like make it a floor is lava LTM, or like the laser beam game mode that everybody loved. Yeah, pros will probably still win those, but it's a really nice change of pace for the content. It lets them blow off a bit of steam and have some fun, and I feel like Jimmy and Timmy would still love to ready up for a tournament with money in floor is lava. Even if they won't win the money, it's just so much more fun. So hopefully these Mix Up Mondays aren't on too often. They just really haven't been my favorite tournament. But the exciting one now, we have the zero build console cash cup duos and regular console cash cup duos. So there is now going to be 2 console cash cups every single week, one for no builds, one for builds. Assumedly, these are going to run at the same time. I'm guessing it's going to currently be like the solo victory cup duos and solo victory cup builds and duo no build victory cups, where they run at the same time and you have to pick which one you want to play. And now we have regular zero build cash cup duos and cash cup duos builds. This tells us a few major things. First off, we are getting a lot more console tournaments, and we are getting a lot more zero build tournaments, and duos is going to be the main competitive game mode next season. We don't know if it's going to be the game mode for FNCS. You'll notice there is no FNCS on this list. I'll get to that in a second, but it's interesting to see what's happening with the console cash cups. Last time they did this, they split the prize pool down the middle and gave half to console and half to PC, which obviously made a lot of people very happy, the console players, and made a lot of people really upset, the PC players. And the cash cup prize pools have been going down more and more. We have people like Reese Hub in the community saying they are a little bit concerned to see whether the prize pool would now be split in 4 ways. You're going to split it into console and PC, and then you're going to split each of those tournaments into no builds and builds, essentially splitting it in quarters. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Epic just bolsters the prize pool so everybody's happy. I mean, console getting more tournaments, I've always agreed with. That has usually gotten me a little bit of hate from the pro community. I think it's great to have console tournaments that have players play in the game. They then spend more money on V-Bucks. They get into competitive. They want to play FNCS, which is still hopefully both platforms versing each other. That's like the pinnacle of competitive, and it gets them into comp. The more people watching and playing in competitive is always a good thing, no matter what platform they're on. And if they're on console, sometimes it can be frustrating versing people on $1,000 PCs. Like, I get it, but at the same time as well, we have seen a lot of console players perform really, really well against PC players. We have a lot of EU, especially console pros last season, who were earning against PC players. So I can see it going both ways. We'll have to see how this plays out once the prize pools are announced though. Now, what is going on with FNCS? So FNCS hasn't been announced, and Boob did show some concern to iFi Monkey, saying, are FNCS is typically bundled into these tournament pools, or is it likely to be added into the future into the files? Seems weird. Usually we have both at the same time, I thought, which is a concern I had as well. If we're putting all these tournaments in the compete tab, why is there no FNCS? But iFi Monkey responded, if I recall correctly, they typically announce FNCS before they add it to the compete tab. So it makes sense for why it's not here yet. And based on my memory of this, that is correct. Usually they make a blog post announcing FNCS, then as it gets closer, it goes into the compete tab. So don't panic, there's no FNCS tournament. What do I think FNCS is gonna be? I'm guessing it's going to be duos, and that might upset a lot of people. We've seen FNCS be duos now for 2 entire years. A lot of people hoping for a change up to trios or solos, a few people wanting squads as well. My original idea and what I really hoped we were going to get was a solo FNCS to kick things off. Just a chance for everybody to play the game, compete, make money, build up their PR, prove themselves as a good player to find better teammates in the future. Because if you're a really good player but you can't find a good teammate, you really haven't had that much to prove yourself in over the last few years. You've just had victory cups which don't really show your true strength as a player. So I think a solo FNCS would have been great. It's always when the player base is absolutely pumping. We got a new chapter. It would be really good to get people into competitive, because when you need to find teammates, you need to rely on teammates. It's very, very hard for the average player to find someone to play with, you know, a few times a week, every single time a tournament's on. Where solos, if you can't play this week, you can play next week. You show up, you dominate, you do well. It's much, much easier to do for a casual, and I think we should be trying to get as many people into competitive as possible right now after the numbers we've seen from OG Fortnite. A bunch of casuals are back on the game. We have console cash cups to get them into playing, and then potentially FNCS, if it's a solos, would get even more of those. So at the same time, I would have loved to see a solo FNCS season 1 and then a trio FNCS season 2 just to change things up, like let everyone have a change of pace, enjoy themselves, and just have fun, something different from duos. And then I think we should go back to duos for the last 2 seasons of the year, and those 2 seasons qualify for the major LAN. I love the global championship. It was so incredibly hype. It was by far the best lobby of Fortnite we've ever seen. The qualifiers really made it feel like we had the best of the best represented. But at the same time, we had it running the whole year, and from the first FNCS, only like 6 teams qualified in the whole world. Half of them wanted to split up anyway. Half of them you forgot by the time global champs came round, so it doesn't really make sense to have the qualifiers run that deep. So I think 1 solo FNCS, a trio FNCS, and then 2 duo FNCSs that get to the LAN would be a much more fun way to do it. Now, obviously there might just be no LAN, which means you can run whatever you want, but I think Epic sticking to duo FNCS is just because it's simple. They know how it works. It's ran for a couple years now. It's been successful, depending on whether you thought this went well or not, but it's working currently, and I think that's how Epic is doing competitive. From what I can see from this list, they're not trying to change too much. They added console cash cups and they changed zero builds a little bit, but for the most part, they're kind of just sticking to what they know. They're not really trying anything crazy, and we've seen that in the past as well. Hopefully maybe later in the year they start trying things a little bit different with competitive, because I do think with Fortnite not being, you know, a conventional esport, anyone can log in and just play and do well. I think what keeps that going and what keeps the hype around that is the variety. I think it's not meant to be like Counter-Strike that's going to last 20 years being the exact same way. I think Fortnite having duos as the main game mode is fine. I think duos is a really, really good game mode. I do think they should change it up a little bit and make it a bit more exciting for the variety. It is worth noting a lot of this could change. These could even just be placeholders they've put in the compete tab just for now. I don't think so, but at the same time, don't take any of this as 100% confirmed what's happening next season, but it's a very, very good look into how competitive is going.